guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for tonight's video, we're going to be reading some more scary stories. So as per usual, sorry about the cars. Sorry if you hear any noises in my house. My house is really loud right now for some reason. My boyfriend is downstairs with like his big VR headset on, and like I can hear him through every single vent in the house because he's like screaming into it with his buddies, and it's so fucking annoying, but what can you do? The cars are being really loud as per usual. You guys always say you can't hear them, but they're incredibly loud in my studio, so I hear them. So I just always like to give the disclaimer, just in case you're wondering what the fuck that noise was. It's cars. As per usual, I have my wicked candle in here. It's just for good luck, I think. It smells like caramel apple. It smells amazing. I don't have it lit. I've never actually lit it just because I kind of want to keep it forever because it's so fucking cute. But I have my wicked candle and I have my spooky drink. So this is literally just like ginger ale and apple juice, but it's in an orange cup, so it's spooky. So whatever. If you're interested in this look that I did tonight, it is up on my TikTok with another creepy story. So if you guys want to go watch that video, it's on TikTok and you guys can see how I did this look. This look was inspired by Batty Bean here on YouTube. She did a look using her Halloween palette, which I don't have yet, and I wanted to recreate it with the products that I did have, so that is what I'm wearing on my face tonight. So thank you to Batty Bean for inspiring me. And let's just jump on into some spooky stories. All right, I'm just moving around my mic because in the last video, my hair was like rubbing against my mic in one of the stories and it was kind of annoying. It annoyed me. I'm assuming it annoyed you. I mean, I don't know. Things that annoy me don't seem to annoy you guys, but whatever. I digress. So I have a bunch of stories that I want to read. 4 of them are sent in from Instagram. So they're your guys' stories. This is so fucking cool. I'm so excited. Hope my house doesn't get too loud. It's like 7:30 right now and my roommate might be coming home soon. So if he does, then I'll just stop this video and I'll keep recording later on. But I'm hoping that I can get through this video in one take. But let's just jump on into the Instagram stories. So I'm super excited. I'm going to read the first one that was sent to me a couple of days ago. So her Instagram name is Slay Ray. I don't know what her full name is. It says in her story that she has like a different name and a lot of people say it wrong. So if I don't say your name correctly, I apologize. I am terrible with pronouncing things. I have the hardest name to pronounce too. My name is Ariana and it's spelt really weird. Like it's spelt A-U-R-E-A-N-N-A. And everybody, when they see my name, they're like, oh, Ariana. And I'm like, where the fuck do you get the I? So if I say your name wrong, I apologize. I've lived with it my entire life and I hate it. And I know the feeling of somebody not saying your name right, but I apologize. I'm terrible at pronouncing things. So she starts off this story. There's no title or anything. It's just from Instagram. So I'm going into my DMs. She started off this story by saying, "You asked," in caps locks. I have so many stories, so I'll just tell you a few. They're different lengths, so whatever you'd like to read. In 2018, my boyfriend and I bought our first house next to a cemetery. It was a steal with only paying $38,000, and after 2 weeks of rushing it to fix it up before we had to go back to work, we were finally moved in. Okay, there is a fucking fruit fly in here. Get away from me. It didn't start right away. It was a slow progression of events that led to a very odd happenings for a few weeks. There's been a few different signatures of happenings, so we believe that it's just spirits passing through from the cemetery right across the street. In the past few years, we've experienced shoes being thrown across the room, cabinets aggressively opening and closing, items going missing forever, a woman standing at the bottom of our bed and singing in the living room. Okay, what? A woman standing in your room, like at your bed? Nope, nope, nope. I would nope out of that fucking house. I don't care how good of a deal that house was. Fuck that. If I saw a fucking ghost in my house, I would literally leave. There were 3 times in particular that really stuck with us. The first was right after we moved in. I was showering while being the only one in the house at the time, and I distinctly remember a man calling my name out. For reference, I have a very unique name that barely anyone says correctly. It was so distinct that I thought my boyfriend came home and was talking to me. The second event happened at night, and I slept through it. Yikes. It sounded like someone was trying to rip our air conditioner out of our window from the outside. It was very loud, and my boyfriend jumped out of bed and grabbed his pistol, thinking our house was being broken into. But the noise stopped the second he got up. The third story was a few weeks ago when I was putting away dishes in the kitchen. Our cat, Mo, was waiting for me to get him his wet food for dinner, as he does every night. I had put a heavy glass bowl in the cabinet and set an even heavier glass of measuring cup in front of it. I turned to grab another bowl and was just reaching for another cabinet when I had to duck from the first glass bowl flying across the room at me. I'm talking across the room. Now, usually I just say that my imagination is running wild, but there was zero way that that bowl could have gotten out without knocking the measurement cup out of the cabinet, nor would it fly 8 feet across the room. I yelled for whatever that was messing with me to stop it, and everything died down for a week or so. If you'd like more, let me know. So I messaged her back and I was like, obviously I want more, give me more stories. And she gave me an update that I have not read yet, so I'm reading it for the first time with you guys tonight, so this is really exciting. She says, it's wild. Yes, I'll type up another story, but she's a long one. So myself, my boyfriend, and a few of our friends went to this 13-hour overnight ghost hunt at Crescent Sanatorium prison in Pennsylvania. So we started with this whole group of people who went with a seance, which we didn't move to join if we didn't want to, so we just watched. We were taught how to use different hunting tools like dowsing rods or similar non-electronic items. We got to go essentially everywhere on the grounds if the buildings were unlocked. For reference, there are about 20-some buildings over a few acres of land. We grabbed a REM pod and an EMF detector and headed to our first building. We really just explored the layout of the place and didn't look for anything specific. We headed to cell block C and found a cell that had a spirit using our flashlight to communicate. We'd ask some questions and it would dim the light or make it bright. We checked and changed the batteries and also switched flashlights. We talked to the spirit until it was done talking and we headed to check another cell, but nothing. Onto the hospital ward. It was just the 5 of us together in one of those rooms without walls and lots of beds, like a military hospital. We set up the REM pod in the middle of the room and started looking around and asking questions. We started hearing a tapping noise, but we determined it was water dripping. All of a sudden, shit hit the fan. We asked the spirit to make a REM pod beep if it was a patient, a nurse, or a doctor. As the REM pod beeped, a door that was wedged open slammed shut, and then a medical glove appeared on the floor near us. We booked it out of there. The last place we had an experience was in the end-of-life building. We got to the 2nd floor of the building and smelt sulfur. I'm talking the level of scent that made us all gag. I've seen enough scary movies to know to get the fuck out. Anyway, we all had an overall amazing experience. I caught some of it on video too. I have the video if you'd like. Oh my God, okay, I'm gonna get you to send me the video and I may play it in another video or I may add it into here and react to it like later once she sends me the video. I'm literally texting her right now. Holy shit, I want to see this video. She hasn't sent it to me yet, so obviously she sent it to me literally while I was making the TikTok, but oh my God, those stories are fucking insane. I can't imagine going to like a building that is like known to be haunted and actually experiencing something. Holy shit, that is so fucking cool. Oh my God. I love that. So the next story that I want to read is from another Instagram user. Their Instagram account is winter_even_in_August. So winter even in August. Hello, I don't really use Instagram, so I hope I'm messaging in the right spot, but I'm subscribed to you on YouTube and absolutely eat up all your stories. So I thought I'd share a series of similar creepy events to my own. I apologize in advance for any spelling or grammatical errors. I barely passed English. Laugh my ass off. Me too, don't worry. You're fine. This all started around April 2015. My stepdad woke up in the middle of the night and said he felt weird, that he couldn't explain why, but he felt like someone was standing in the doorway right next to the crib my baby brother slept in at the time. He pulled up the voice memo app on his phone and started recording, not thinking he'd actually hear anything upon the playback, so he went to bed. The next morning, my mom got a call from my great-grandma telling us that my grandpa, who had been in the hospital with cancer at the time, had passed away at 3 a.m. Once my stepdad heard that, he immediately told everyone about what he felt. He played the audio recording to see if anything was captured. There was, one word, my name. After a full eerie minute of silence, clear as day, a man's voice said, Maria, and nothing after. This started a strange series of events in the house, all surrounding me in one way or another. I would occasionally hear weird, unexplainable noises, like thuds when I was sick at home while my brothers were at school and my parents were at work. Or once something that sounded like heavy footsteps in the room next to mine, when my dog was on the bed with me. But I never heard anything as unexplainable as I did the summer of that same year. It was summer break, and my brothers were having a camping trip with my uncle. And since I was the only girl in the family, I had the house to myself during the day when my parents were at work. I remember it so vividly, it's crazy. I was sitting in my room, brushing my hair on my bed, when I heard my mom call my name. It was said in the same way my mom would call me when I knew asking what wasn't going to get me a reply, and I would have to get up and go to her to see what she wanted. Now, it was around noon, and my mom had an hour lunch break. So on occasion, she would come home from work with lunch for me too. So hearing her voice wasn't out of the ordinary. The weird thing was that I didn't hear the door open and shut. It It was always loud, no matter how carefully you tried to close it. I responded with a, "Yeah, Mom," but wasn't surprised when I didn't get a reply. So I got up and went to the side of the house I heard her on. I expected her to be in the dining room with coffees waiting, but I didn't see her anywhere I looked. So I called out again, "Yeah, Mom?" A little louder, but still got no response. The only other logical thing I could think of was maybe she'd gotten some groceries on the way home and needed help carrying them in and was already back outside. So I opened the door expecting to see her car with the trunk popped open, only to find a completely empty driveway. The following summer, my dog had puppies. She was a big dog, so everybody took turns on the night shift to make sure she didn't hurt the puppies by accidentally laying on them or to take her outside at odd hours, etc. It was my turn and my shift was almost over. Usually around 7 a.m., my mom would get up for work and would wake up one of my brothers to take over. But I had had a horrible migraine and couldn't handle it for the last hour or so I woke up one of my brothers up early. He agreed to watch them for me, and I told him if he had any questions to ask me and that I'd be laying down. I didn't specify where I was laying down at, but I ended up just laying in the doorway to my room. I could hear him talking to me, so I reluctantly crawled out to the living room to ask him what he needed. He looked at me like he nearly shit himself. I asked him what was wrong, but he just shook his head. And honestly, I didn't care enough at the time to keep asking. It wasn't until years later that he finally told me why he was acting so weird that night. The room that we had the puppies in was an extension of our living room. There wasn't a wall dividing the rooms. The only barrier was our big couch. The back faced where you would have been sitting, acting as sort of wall to the rooms. I guess my brother saw a shadow he thought was me walk from the laundry room to the dining room. Then he saw me laying on the couch. He saw my hair and arm hanging over the armrest and that it moved when he called for me, expecting me to get up and answer, only for me to come from the opposite hallway from my room. And when he looked back at the couch, I vanished completely. He only ended up telling me about it because of something similar that happened to my mom. To give some perspective, my house was a one-story rectangular floor layout, and the kitchen, living room, and dining room were all connected in an almost circle. My mom was working indoors that night because it was raining outside, and she couldn't run our driveway like she usually did, and I thought it would be prime time to freak her out. So I hid in the dining room behind the bread box, waiting for her to come into the room. Except, she didn't come into the room. She stopped in the kitchen, talking into the laundry room to me. So I got out of my hiding spot and just stared at her while she kept talking, until she finally noticed me. She was startled immediately, backing away from the door, continuously looking back and forth from me to the laundry room and asking me how the fuck I got there. I asked her what she meant and who she was talking to, because if somebody went into the laundry room, I would have saw them, but nobody had. She explained that she was talking to me, that I was standing in the little bathroom we had in the laundry room with my back facing her. We both started to freak out and called everyone out of their rooms to tell them what had just happened, which is when my brother had told us about the puppies. The last time something like this happened was right before we moved houses last year. My mom was trying to wake me up in the morning and kept calling my name. When she stopped calling, she heard something call my name back in her own voice, like something was mocking her, but she hadn't said it. Nothing like this has ever happened in our new house. Actually, nothing unexplainable at all has occurred here, knock on wood, which is a relief, but it still scares me to this day. What was that thing that kept saying my name in my mom's voice? And why did it keep trying to trick my family members into thinking it was me? And that's how they ended the story. That's how they ended the messages. Like, I have so many fucking questions for you. Like, what the fuck? Oh my God, I would have moved out of that house so fucking fast. I get it, you were a kid, but like, fuck that. Something's mimicking you. Something's mimicking your mom's voice back to her. They're seeing like doppelgangers of you in the house. That sounds like a malevolent spirit, like just an entity that's not there for any good intention. Fuck that. I'm glad you moved and you're not in that house anymore. Thank you so much for sharing that story with me. That is fucking so creepy. No, thank you. And the next story that I want to read is another Instagram message. So it's from the Instagrammer Olivia Snapper, and her name is Liv, I guess. That's just what her message says. It starts off with the title of Lights Out. I always thought my grandma's house was terrifying. My mom and I would hear voices when we go to check on her house while she was gone. I remember I'd be trying to fall asleep and my hair would lift up, and something would shove me awake as soon as I almost fell asleep, and because of that, I would lie there awake for what felt like hours. The trees shined through two sides of the blinds, moving back and forth. My mind was focusing on that so much that I didn't even open my eyes to see what was really happening. My grandma lived on a street that was nothing but woods, and from the room I slept in, when you looked out, you saw a dead-end road and a street light with a foggy mist in the air. It almost looked like a clip from a horror movie. But let's get into what the truly scary part is. The closet. I remember this night so vividly, almost like I relive it every time I talk about it. I always stayed up late. Back during this time I was 16, and I stayed up talking to friends, watching TV, anything but sleeping. I had the bedroom light on and was going on near 2 a.m. I saw the closet light on. I thought to myself, I must have turned it on and forgot to turn it off. Oh well, this house is old, whatever, and I flipped out the switch. After I turned the light off, I went downstairs to grab a drink. As I came up, I started to just go on my phone until I noticed it's on. The closet light I just turned off is back on. I didn't think anything of it again and turned it off. It stayed like that for another hour until I started hearing metal scraping, almost like someone took a piece of metal and scraped as hard as they could across brick. But I heard it outside the window I'm terrified of. I saw something moving outside through the blinds. I ran back to my bed and thought, okay, I'm going to die. Someone's trying to break in. I finally tucked myself up to peek out the window. I saw what appeared to be a ladder propped against the window. I thought to myself, it doesn't make sense why someone or something would put a ladder against my window. It's on a slant on a hill. I thought to myself, why not the basement windows or French doors at the basement and back of the house? Why am I being targeted? I ran to get my grandma, shaking. I told her, someone's breaking in. And the closet light. If anything or anyone was out there that night, they got away before we even knew. By the time she was out there was no one there. The next morning, we called the police. He measured and told us that there were fresh ladder marks in the ground and that the screen of the window was up. I said I was never going to be over there again. I would go over and visit her still, strictly in the daylight, never in darkness. That's a night I'll never forget. And that's how they ended their messages. Oh my God, okay. So the way that you sent those messages, it made it really hard to read because the little thing at the bottom where it wants me to reply was like blocking half of the message. So I'm sorry if I read some of that wrong, but it was kind of hard to read. But thank you so much for sending that to me. That's amazing. That's so fucking creepy. And I'm glad nobody broke into your house, but like that's terrifying. Like fuck that. So clearly, was somebody in your house then? Because there was the light switch kept turning on and off. Maybe that's just like an old house electrical problem, but like that's kind of weird that a light was on in your closet and then you went downstairs and the light was back on and then like somebody was trying to break into your house. So maybe somebody actually did get into your house. That's fucking terrifying. Like that's not so much paranormal besides like the beginning when you said like you could hear things. There's a fucking bug in here. Except for at the beginning when you said that you could hear things like whispering and like when no one was home, like that's a little paranormal. But like the ladder thing, that's terrifying. Oh my God, no thank you. I have another one to read and it is from Kawaii Potato. Hey, my name is Jessie and I have a Let's Not Meet story for you. I also have my own paranormal experiences from childhood and growing up. And I was like, send them to me. And she was like, will do, smiley face. So she sent them to me. I haven't read them yet, so I'm reading them with you guys. To the man that pretended to be an AC repairman, let's not meet. So this time, when my now fiance and I were staying in a Motel 6 about 5 to 6 years ago, my fiance at the time worked at a warehouse. So he tended to leave at about 7 in the morning and had been pretty uneventful, which given my luck was pretty weird and would soon change. That day, I finished the little bit of cleaning that the room needed. I felt weird having the ladies clean my room when I'm more than capable. Afterwards, I lit up a joint and proceeded to watch Netflix when I heard a knock at the door about 5 to 8 minutes later. It was now about 11:30. Weird as it was, I wasn't expecting anyone, so I looked through the little peephole. I saw a man. Mind you, he had no tools and wasn't dressed that way I imagine a repairman to be, and I said, how can I help you? I asked without opening the door, and he proceeded to tell me that the front desk had been getting a lot of complaints about the AC not working. So he's got to check all the AC units, and if I could just open the door, he could check mine really quickly, and he'd be out of my hair. This gave me a weird, unsettling feeling, as the Motel 6 we were staying at was fairly nice, and anything going on, they would normally let us know. For context, we'd been staying here for about 2 months. I told him to hold on and I needed to call the front office as my boyfriend, fiance now, didn't like me answering the door with strangers. We watch a lot of true crime, so we're always on guard. I would have to arrange for him to come back when my boyfriend could get home from work, which was about 2:30. He tried insisting I not do that it would be something super quick and my boyfriend didn't need to know about it, which only made things weirder for me. I proceeded to call the front desk and the phone is ringing. I hear like a frustrated smack against the door and footsteps walking away, but not towards the front desk, but back exit of the building. When the girl at the front desk answers, I tell her what happened, and she tells me not to answer the door as they are not doing such a thing and haven't set anyone to check an AC, and tells me she's going to send the other guy working to see if he can spot anyone, and they'd let me know later. I texted my boyfriend about what happened. He took off work about an hour early that day and came home, and we heard back from the front office. Whoever that guy was made sure to come in where the cameras wouldn't see his face and only caught his hoodie. So to the guy that knocked at my hotel door, let's not meet again. Oh my God, that's so fucking creepy. I'm so glad you had like the right sense not to open the door and to call the front desk, because that's terrifying, and you definitely did the right thing, because that guy clearly had no good intention. Like, he has no tools. You can clearly see that he has no tools, and he wants to fix your AC. What's he gonna fix your AC with, huh? Like, I wouldn't have opened the door, but like, that's terrifying. I'm so glad you watched True Crime, because there you go, saved your life right there. I have no idea what that guy's intentions were, but they definitely weren't good. So thank you so much for sending that in. And now I have one more story to read. We are at the 28-minute mark. This is gonna be a longer video, which is what you guys have been requesting, but I have one more story to read from Reddit, and it is a paranormal story, and I'm super excited. So this one's titled Museum Demon, and it's from the Reddit user Jupiter-Hurricane, and it's from the spoopy Cjades section. So when I messaged them, they actually said that they watch my videos, so thank you so much. I'm so excited to read your story, and thank you for watching. My cousin Jen lives across the street from a huge park that is known to be haunted because there has been a number of murders and suicides done there. Hell, there was a lady set on fire there, but that's not what this is about. I've spent many summer nights with my cousin at this park, and I don't know if it's because we grew up here that the haunting and things never really bothered us. We would go to that park at night and play tag or hide and go seek. This night, it was 3 of us. Jen, one of our friends we'll call Sarah, and myself. We decided on this night to go for a walk a little ways into the park where there is, honestly, probably the world's shittiest museum. The building was huge and beautiful, but it was shitty because all it had was some rocks and nothing very interesting. We walked to the museum, which wasn't far from Jen's house. Maybe a 5-minute walk, but still out of range of our parents. The parking lot was very well lit, and we would sit on the sidewalk and talk. Why? I don't know, we were like 12. We felt cool that we were away from Jen's house and there was no one watching or listening to our conversation. What was so interesting that 3 12-year-old girls had to get away from prying eyes and ears? No idea. We're sitting there talking when my friend Sarah looks over at the museum and asks us if we see that. She's looking over by the part of the museum that is of course encased in shadows, because it's opposite of the streetlight and there's a willow tree. I asked her what she was talking about, and she pointed towards the willow tree and asked us to go over to where she was. I look to where she's pointing, and there I see are 2 red dots. Now, I want to remind you that it's night. This is the dark side of the museum, and this is between a very big willow tree. I look at the 2 red dots, and they seem to be glowing, because that was the only way we'd be able to see anything in the darkness. Jen sees what we're looking at and says, "That's weird, but there's a generator over there, so it's probably just lights." Now, I'm trying to get a handle of my fear, because despite what my cousin said, I had a feeling that we were being watched, and those weren't lights. I keep my eyes on the red dots and say to my cousin, "I don't think that's a generator, Jenny." She looks at me and says, "Well, what else could it be?" Sarah then says, "Let's go see." I look at her in utter astonishment, and I say to her, "Are you insane? That's how people get murdered." She says to me, "Well, what do you want to do?" "I don't know, but I think it's watching us." The 2 dots that I'm sure are 2 red glowing eyes stare back at us, and I watch it slowly look away and then slowly back at us. It moved. Generators don't move. We ran. We ran like bats out of hell. I don't know what it was, but the one thing I do know is that it sure as hell wasn't human or an animal. Nothing on this earth had eyes that glow like that. Nothing in this world, at least. The next day, my cousin and I went back to the museum. It was a bright sunny day, and we were still curious about what we had saw the night before. Despite my good sense, my curiosity almost always wins out. We went to look between the willow tree and the museum, and there was sure enough a generator over there where we were looking the night before. But the generator didn't have any kind of lights. This happened over 20 years ago, and to this day, whenever I think about it, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. I never go to that park at night, but I would be lying if a part of me didn't wish that we had gone to see what it was. I wish we had, but I'm glad we didn't. And that's how they ended the story. Oh my God, so thank you so much to Jupiter Hurricane for allowing me to read your story. I literally found her story tonight and I was so excited that I got to read it. So my camera is about to overheat because we are filming in 4K. I have a little like warning on my screen right now. So this is where I'm gonna end the video. So thank you so much to everybody that sent me your stories. I'm so glad you guys are finally sending me your stories over Instagram. That is so amazing. I find it's just a little bit more creepy when it's like your personal accounts and like your personal experiences, just so much fun. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this, and I will see you guys at the next video. Bye.